Hello, everybody. How are you? I think that spring has sprung in most of your neighborhoods across the country. So we're thinking a lot of people are making their summer plans now and deciding if they may go on, you guys might go on vacation and, visit some beautiful nature spot. And I had a friend, Christy Peck, who just sent me that's what was posted on on the site and Facebook yesterday was, she's out first in Bryce Canyon, and then she came down a little south of Bryce Canyon into Arizona and went into these slot canyons. It's just, I've never seen them, but it's just, it's beyond visually stunning to see these, curves of spaces that go high up in the air and go deep back. And Christy and her 90-year-old mother, Ruth, and you know that Christy's going to be in that exact kind of shape when she's 90. Christy's a surfer and a walker. She's an ever walker now with us. Every Saturday she comes out and walk with us. So she sent us a picture of her and a few friends and her 90-year-old mom who walked into the canyon. And it got me thinking. I've been awfully lucky. I've traveled all over this world, been into the interior of the rainforest of Borneo. I just 2 days ago got back from the rainforest of Costa Rica, which was, howler monkeys in the middle of the night. Creating an echo that went around the universe. The beautiful red macaw parrots who mate for life. They live 70, 80, 90 years without leaving each other shoulder to shoulder, sitting on tree branches. So they're 2 by 2 by 2. And I could go on. But we wanted to hear from you, and often I find it interesting that people say, yeah, I've been lucky, I've gone and seen the animals on safari in Africa, I've been to the great waterfalls of Niagara and the Iguazu Falls that are on the Brazilian border, but right in my backyard, if you just walk up the street and down the hill, we have a river that's magnificent. So I want to hear from you about eccentric places that you want to go, that you have already been to, and places right at home. It was years and years ago, but Travel and Leisure magazine did a last page called My Place, and they would reach out to, public figures of sorts and ask them to write about some favorite place of theirs. So they asked me, and I wrote in a little sampling of what they might like. I had swum with whales in Patagonia at the southernmost reach of Argentina, which actually dips into Antarctic waters. As I said before, I had been to Borneo. I had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So I wrote them all these, what I thought were, amazingly eccentric, beautiful places of the world. And they called me up to say, okay, yeah, do you know how many people we've already had who have done the Patagonia trip, who have been into the interior of Borneo? We've done all those, been there, done that. And I said, well, I do. I was living in New York City. I do go up just 2 hours north of New York to this little town called Ancram. It's kind of a village, Ancram, with beautiful little blacktop switchback roads, ponds and lakes. My friend Candace and I used to ride our bikes and skinny dip in all the lakes like Burt Lancaster in that movie, The Swimmer, that he did years ago. We'd eat corn on the cob, fresh, right off the stalk, at night. And when they got that, they said, Travel and Leisure people, that's it. Something that everybody can get to, and it's just as beautiful. Ancram, New York, in the middle of summer, is just as beautiful as going off to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And isn't it true? I'm always curious why the giant redwoods, I know they're considered one of the, the beauties of the world, one of the great nature spots of the world. They're on that list, but you never hear Americans that much. Americans go see the Grand Canyon. Americans go to see Times Square in New York City. They go to see the leaf peeping, the colors change in New England and West Virginia and up at the Vermont Canadian border. But I don't hear that many Americans say, it's on my bucket list, or it's something I did that I'll never forget. But when I went with my nephew, Tim, when he was at Berkeley. We took a car and drove about 5 hours north of San Francisco up at the Oregon border and stood there at the bottom of the 300-foot sequoias, the redwoods, 300 feet, just reaching up into the clouds with the rain and mist and that ocean topography that keeps it fairly mild. My breath was taken away. I couldn't get enough of that. So I'm curious if you've seen the redwoods and they've moved you like they did me. Gabby's with us. Say hello, Gabby.
Hello.
There she is. Gabby.
I'm here. We have Greggy Martinez says he loves the swimming holes in Texas and tubing down the Guadalupe River with family and friends.
Now that sounds great. I haven't done the Guadalupe, but just the San Antonio. It's kind of mild, a real slow moving river, but I like that tubing. You just kind of hang out and life passes you by and on a lazy river. I want to try the Guadalupe, and I'm curious what the swimming holes are. Greggy, if you can write while we're talking, describe those a little bit. I'm thinking in Mexico, I've been into those cenotes, so they're kind of, some of them are underground and they're actual tunnels, and some of them start above ground, but they're brilliant turquoise blue waters because of the reflection through the rocks. And the prism of the whatever's on the stone, the quartz or whatever, it makes from the sky to the water this just outrageously bright turquoise blue of this cenote, and you can swim in them. They're very warm. When I was in Colombia, I got to swim in these pools. I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but they're waterfalls. So in Spanish, it's cascadas, cascades. And sometimes they come, down, let's say, 30 stories or so, what would be a 30-story building, but it's rocks. And the rock is lava rock. So the pool at the bottom is a natural hot tub at 102, 103, 104 degrees. And then you get out of that one and run over some 50 to 100 meters over there, and there's another cascada, another waterfall that's coming down over cool rock. Whatever's behind that rock is has a different makeup, and that pool at the bottom is ice cold. So you run just like if you were paying to go to a spa, from the hot tub to the cold tub to the hot tub to the cold tub. It's absolutely magnificent. Thanks for writing in, Greggy.
Greggy says the calm, clear waters of the Blue Hole and the Frio River.
Oh, and where is this in Texas? I want to see those. I want to swim in those and dip in those for sure. Let us know where that is, will you?
Jill Ann Bussell says, really love El Morro State Park up in Newport Beach area. When I come visit Andy Bussell, he takes me on the greatest hikes. I've also been to the cenotes as well in Mexico snorkeling, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and look, I live right up the road from Newport Beach, and I don't know El Morro State Park. I think it's another one of those examples of getting a chance to travel the world and seeing the beauty of Japan and Vietnam and the south of France, the Côte d'Azur. I mean, you understand why all those painters from Monet up through Picasso went to the south of France to paint. That light is something magical. Every day at sunset, twilight, you feel like, even I'm a horrible painter and drawer, but I want to get out a sketch pad and paints, when I'm there. So El Morro State Park, I'm going to put that on my list. I got to make a visit for sure.
Paula Glacken says, currently I'm fortunate to live in the Puget Sound area.
Ooh.
Holy mackerel, spectacular beauty everywhere. Mountains, lakes, ocean, islands.
Paula, yesterday I was in Seattle. I was giving a talk up there, and I stayed at the Edgewater Hotel right on Puget Sound, right? And they put me into what they call the Beatles suite. So those little rascal Beatles, when they first came over to the States, went everywhere, and they got into trouble everywhere they went. Not big trouble, but fun boy trouble. And they stayed in this suite where I stayed the night before last, called the Beatles suite. There are pictures of them all over that room. They broke open the windows, which you're not supposed to do, and they fished outside the windows of the very hotel room I was in. There are pictures of them all over that room, of them with their fishing poles in Puget Sound. But it's beautiful, and I never realized, I've been to Seattle many times, but I've never taken a close look at the map. I assumed when you're, right in the downtown Seattle area and you look out at Puget Sound that all you need to do is go around the corner and you're in the Pacific Ocean. But I see now that it's a much bigger trip. And, we at Everwalk, we hear from our Seattle fans, and they want us to come there. This summer, we're doing a Walk New England, beautiful, sort of idyllic New England walk. But we do want to go to Seattle, and I'm not sure if we should start up like toward Vancouver and come down south along all those waterways, or if we should start down in Portland and walk through all the beautiful greenery up to Seattle. But no matter what, we want to finish on the Puget Sound in Seattle. And I understand. I mean, Seattle's a progressive town also, why so many people want to move there. But I understand for that beauty alone, it's wonderful. Although all of you, who don't think it really rains much there, you need a reality check. It was sunshiny yesterday. Incredible. But every time I've ever been to Seattle, it's raining. Nobody has an umbrella. And, I'm not afraid of water, clearly, but we go out walking somewhere, like I was there for my book, and we're going to book appearances. I wanted to look okay when I went everywhere. And the guy who was with me, the publishing guy from Seattle, said, "Oh, no, it's not really raining." I said, no, when water comes out of the sky, precipitation, and it drenches your hair and drenches your clothes, we call that rain. So it's one of the great places of the United States, Seattle and Puget Sound. You're preaching to the choir here, Paula.
Paula says, I would love to Everwalk with you. Either route would be awesome. And she loves the Edgewater.
Oh, yeah, right? All right, we're going to look into it. I think Portland may be a little too far, so we're going to start up the coast maybe and come down, finish Seattle. I'm hoping that walk's going to be 2018.
Paula Glacken said, talking flyover beautiful places, Flint Hills of central Kansas. Unique beauty, salt of the earth people, but it is more expensive to fly there than to the coasts.
There you go. Now see, there's Paula, on each coast, there's a chauvinism. Like, there's nothing happening in the middle of the country. And here, you're writing us about Flat Hills, Kansas. That intrigues me. I've been to Kansas a few times, and I have nothing bad to say. I was there in a beautiful springtime one time. It was lovely, and I'd like to know more about this Flat Hills. I've been to the UP of Michigan again. Giant sand dunes on the edge of Lake Superior, absolutely breathtaking. But I don't think most Americans think, well, I'm going to take my vacation in the UP of Michigan, unless you're from Michigan. And I've never heard anybody say, I'm going to go for a week this year and walk around and discover the Flat Hills of Kansas. You got me curious. I'm going to look into your beautiful place. Thank you.
Greggy chimed in. He wants to know more about Everwalk and how he signs up.
Thank you, Greggy. Everwalk sort of came out of the end of the Cuba swim. Bonnie, I'm sure by now. Bonnie's my closest friend, and Bonnie and I did the Cuba swim together. I was in the water. She was the head of the 44-person expedition outside of the water, in charge of my life. And Bonnie was a world-class athlete in her own right back in the day. She was one of the best racquetball players in the United States. And so now, we wanted to do something for, shall we say, the masses. We wanted to have everybody feel what we feel, to feel physically fit, to enjoy the great outdoors, to go together down some road and feel that you've traveled on your own steam. And yes, I wish that I could start a swimming movement, but it's just not as practical as walking. Just about everybody. We have disabled walkers who go with us, blind walkers, and walking is for the masses. So we've started something called Everwalk, and Facebook is our partner, and Johnson & Johnson's our partner, United Health Group, and we're starting to do two things. You go to our website, everwalk.com, come to the Facebook page, join Everwalk Nation, and it's simply a club where people walk. They send in photos, they send in essays about walking. They give us motivation as to why they're walking and how much they're walking. In the summer, June, July, and August, we're going to start the 111 Mile Club. 111 miles was the distance of my Cuba swim, and we're going to see who can walk 111 miles in a month. The June month, the July month, and the August month. And we're sort of get a congratulations for joining the 111 Mile Club. And we do epic walks. We do first once a year. Last year we walked LA to San Diego. This coming year we're going to announce it on May 20th at a cool walk we're doing here along, talk about beauty. Los Angeles has a river. It's called the LA River. And when Los Angeles was founded all those many decades ago, people had orange groves and farmland along the LA River, which, like all rivers, crested and flooded the farmland and then receded back down. Well, it's been concretized to a great degree. These Army Corps of Engineers in the 1930s built a big side walling of concrete along it, so it no longer floods out, because now we become an urban city and not farmers anymore here, largely. But the city of LA, a project called River LA, is restoring the LA River. People are kayaking in it at certain areas, and we are going to do a walk to promote the knowledge of the LA River, so that people know there's a 51-mile bike ride, running, walking route, no cars at all. It's a treat in Los Angeles to not see a car for 51 miles. It's not finished yet, but it's going to go all the way from the San Fernando Valley through downtown LA and make its way to Long Beach, 51 miles. So on May 20th in the morning, if you guys are in the Southern California area at all, come join us. There's no fee at all. Just register. Go to our Facebook page and click on and register and come walk with us. 6.5 miles. That's it. So that's what Everwalk's all about. Both epic long walks, 7-day walks, 150 miles, and walking every day and joining Everwalk Nation. Greggy, I'm going to be looking for your name. You better be joining Everwalk Nation today. I'm looking later, okay?
He just sent the link to everybody in the group, so Greggy.
Yeah, Greggy! All right, we're going to have you get on as a PR machine for us.
Yeah, nice.
And Dallas, we definitely want to do a walk somewhere around Dallas, maybe from the Gulf up to Dallas. I don't know. We're not there yet.
Susan Elizabeth Caden says, speaking of rain, I used to live in Jakarta, Indonesia. The thunderstorms there were unlike nothing I've ever seen. I lived on the 28th floor and we would just watch it in the clouds envelop the city. The lightning would just ignite the sky and the thunder would shake the walls. You felt the power of nature for sure. Now I'm in Dubai and miss the rain.
Oh, Susan, what a great, you're a poet. That's a wonderful description. I've been to Bali a couple of times, but I've never been through the Indonesian rains. Rain is so powerful, isn't it? At the time we were just spent this last week in Costa Rica, they're coming into the rainy season. So not all day yet. So we had the morning of sun and exploration, and we were in a Spanish intensive course too for the language, but in the afternoon starting around 4, the thunder would roll and the lightning would start to flash, and you understand why that country has so much primary rainforest still. Partly it's because of their practices. They believe in a green culture. They're moving toward 100% sustainability, no oil whatsoever. Very proactive people in terms of energy, but they have rains, and I didn't know that about Indonesia and Jakarta. I'm going to look that up on the internet later and maybe hope to be there someday in the rains. And Dubai, yeah, now you're in desert land, no rain. You know, even here in LA, that we have had very little rain for the last 6 years. Usually the winter time, January, February, you know, there are Pacific Coast storms that come in, but we've been just about dry, like desperate drought for 6 years, and this year was the first time a winter came back. And I'm from the East Coast, and I constantly do not complain about the sunshine out here. It's a great way to live, but you know, you put your tongue out and say, rain, water, moisture, rain when you get it. So I hear you. From Jakarta to Dubai, wow, you've had an interesting life. Where else have you lived?
We have a few Everwalk location requests. Everwalk in Germany possible from Claudia Marbach. She'd love to see us there. And Jill Ann Bussell says, can you consider a Tahoe Rim trail walk?
Tahoe Rim, now that sounds beautiful. I bet, how long is it around Lake Tahoe? I got to look that up. We like to go about 140, 150 miles. But you know what? We're going to start doing other walks that aren't the full 7 days. Bonnie and I like to scoot out on a Saturday in the LA area, and people are starting to join us. But we're not that far away. Why shouldn't we shoot up to Lake Tahoe one Saturday and do a rim walk, even if it doesn't, encircle the entire lake? And Germany, it's our fantasy. Right now, we're just, they say in America, we become a very sedentary society. And we use a phrase, sitting is the new smoking. Dr. Andrew Levine coined that phrase. So people spend a lot of the day and a lot of the night in front of their screens. And our idea is just get up, just get out, just walk your dog, walk to go get your mail, walk to get your newspaper, maybe walk to go get your groceries. Start being a walker. Make it part of your everyday life. But we have fantasies of coming to beautiful Germany. Wouldn't that be wonderful to do a springtime walk in München or Hamburg or one of those beautiful towns? So we're not there yet. We got to start in America first, but we do want to go global. Vielen Dank.
Kathy Moreau says, in my home state of Wisconsin, visiting the state parks, hiking in the pines, I love the smell of the earth.
Oh, that sounds great. I love all of you today are using a little bit of a color or a sound of the rain, and for you to to bring the smell of the pine trees of Wisconsin. It must be magical. One walk we're considering doing eventually is Green Bay to Chicago. It's a pretty good distance, and it would be through all that beautiful area. That would be wonderful. I used to cover, because I only covered the very big, important events for ABC Sports, the World Lumberjack Championships, which were in Hayward, Wisconsin. Right at the edge of Lake Superior, I dive into that freezing lake and then get out and watch all those lumberjacks chopping trees down and doing the log roll competition, which I did a few times. I didn't stay up too long, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Wisconsin all the way. It's a stunning state. Another one that, out of ignorance, I think a lot of us know New York City, or we travel to Washington, D.C. to see the beautiful monuments. We might go to Key West, Florida, because it's a real, tourist destination. But I would venture to say that a lot of people who are not from Wisconsin, maybe from Chicago, Milwaukee, but a lot of people not from Wisconsin, wouldn't say, that's on my bucket list. I definitely want to go and spend a week or two traveling around, walking and taking a road trip around the state of Wisconsin. Well, they're misinformed. It's a gorgeous state. I don't know all of it, but I know some of the parts of it. And I've been to Green Bay Packer games, woo, in the middle of winter. Awesome experience.
Jillian Bussell said in Tahoe it's 165 miles of trails.
You know what? So you're talking about the rim. So do I picture it? Is it naive of me to think that you're up on top of the edge of Lake Tahoe and you walk 165 miles, or are you going up and down to get to that rim again? But 165 miles is just right. It's just about right. I like it.
Sarah Jane Holmes says, hello from England. I've just entered into the Great North Swim, Lake Windermere, UK this June. I can't wait. Thank you for your amazing energy and inspiration.
Oh my gosh, Lake Windermere. I can only guess how cold Lake Windermere is, even in June. I love the English. Is it Jane, I think? Jane, I love the English spirit. There's just, you see people standing on the edge of the North Sea, and any American who goes by has got a turtleneck and a scarf and maybe a wool beanie. But you see the English in the summer, if there's a little bit of sun, standing and taking a few deep breaths, doing a few knee bends each side, and just wading right into those freezing waters. I don't know how you do it. So I don't know how long, or if you're going across Lake Windermere, or the length of it, or how long you're going to be in the water, but I admire you already before you even step foot in that cold water. Have a wonderful adventure, Jane.
Melissa M. Shad says, I promote walking MOAs, M-O-A-I, for the Blue Zones project here on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Wow. Well, write us back what that is. Walking
M-O-A-I.
M-O-A-I. Moai. But the Big Island sounds great. I used to get to cover the Ironman every year on the Kona side. And, what a natural wonder the Big Island is. All of Hawaii is beautiful. I used to get to go to Kauai once a year. I'm actually going to go over to Oahu in June to do a little boogie boarding, sort of just a strict long weekend fun trip. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not sure exactly what the Moai is and where you're walking. So if you have a chance, write back in and give us a little bit more description and education about what you're doing over there. Mahalo.
We have Kel Frazee says, we'd love to have you in Bellingham, Washington. Lots of trails in the mountains and along the water. Thanks for inspiring people to walk.
Yeah, I hear you. And Bellingham's right there, right? As I was saying, I was in Seattle just yesterday. Just the whole area, the whole, even on the eastern side, where it isn't quite, so much water is gorgeous. Washington's it's our treasure state, one of our treasure states for sure. I'd love to be with you in Bellingham anytime.
Melissa says it's pronounced Moai.
Moai. But what is it? What the heck is it? Come on, Melissa. Give us more information. Now we're too curious. Everybody's got to know what Moai is.
Anita Makesner says she lives in Oregon. Pretty green, rain, rain, rain.
Yeah, well, Oregon's right up there, isn't it? With the state of Washington. That's the Pacific Northwest. Rain, 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 but you don't seem to notice it. I don't know people who leave. I haven't talked to people who said, I lived in Oregon, and it was spectacular green, but I just couldn't stand all the rain. I just don't know who people who live there, who leave there. They find that quality of life. Everybody's riding their bikes and hiking and walking and climbing Mount Rainier and all that stuff. And I guess people are fans. Once they get there, they're fans. It feels too gray and rainy for me. I'm a sunshiny and water swimming type, but I wouldn't mind doing a little getaway every year or twice a year to Oregon, Seattle area, both of those. Thank you for weighing in.
There was one question that went by, and so we lost the name, but they wanted to know what your personal future goals are.
Thank you for asking. We've lost your name, so maybe you'll come back in. But, I want Everwalk to become a big national movement and then an international movement. Lots of people are walking. Lots of people are already, have formed walking groups, and it's out there. I don't want to compete with them. Bonnie and I want to meld in and just make walking the American pastime. There's a fascinating history of walking. On Mother Earth, we, the Homo sapien, walked out of Africa and discovered Europe and Asia, and we're not constant, everyday, long distance walkers anymore. So, some people are in Africa. You will find that in the big cities of Europe. Even if you took your tracking device, if you're doing steps or miles and you walk around New York City during the day, you probably easily walk 8-10 miles. Just walking to the subway stations and walking office to office and walking out to dinner. But as a general rule in America, we don't walk anymore. So that's a big personal goal of mine. It's kind of a legacy that I'd like to be known for and leave for this country. In 15, 20 years, when I'm, older, I'd love to be able to drive around from Wisconsin to Kansas to the state of Washington to Massachusetts and say, look at that. Everybody's walking. America is a nation of walkers. I also, I dream big. I want to go to Broadway. I do many things poorly in this life. One thing I do well is tell a story on stage. if I can say so myself, it'd be better if somebody else said so, but I can tell a compelling story with some humor, with some self-deprecation, with some drama, with arcing to take the story somewhere and take it to an end that's inspiring. So I've been telling those stories on stage for a long time, and I've been developing as a storyteller and always have something to learn, but I'm now starting to talk to some Broadway directors. So we'll see. It takes a lot to put it together, but I'd like to go in that direction, see if I can make it all the way to Broadway. You know what they say about New York? If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So those are two just right offhand that are big on my horizon.
You ready to hear about what a moai means?
Here we go.
Moai?
Ready,
Moai.
everybody?
Moai.
M-O-A-I, moai. Here comes the
It
definition.
means meeting for a common purpose, and the word is Japanese. Moai.
Oh, moai, meeting for a common purpose. So you're out leading walks, and I'm not sure if you're meeting on the walks, but at least it's good to know what a moai is. Well, listen, it's 3:30, so we've been going about a half an hour. Thank you so much. So many of you were very articulate and descriptive today. I love it. Keep weighing in. Send us pictures like that Slot Canyon picture our friend Christy Peck sent that started all this off. The conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace out.